Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Cheltenham Chat. This is a weekly show where I put my view of all the runners who may appear at the Cheltenham Festival, my opinion of their performance and whether their value for the races they may run in at Cheltenham. I have to stress it's my view because it's me on my own and I'm obviously not going to have the views of the majority, but I put my views up. We have about 1,500 subscribers who watch most weeks, and of course they put their opinion of the horses down below and we have a chat about how we all feel. But I can only put my view on the video. That's what I do each week. I chronicle each runner and I try and make my opinion of each race at Cheltenham from this view that I chronicle each week. So hope you enjoy this episode. I'll go through the weekly runners this week and how I feel they've run and whether they're value for the Cheltenham Festival or not. The Dublin Racing Festival is now just about better quality than the Cheltenham Festival itself. It was really eagerly anticipated this season and it really produced the goods with a lot of shocks, a lot of surprises and a lot to ponder going forward. Good Land won the first and it was never in doubt really. When he took it up, he seemed to have quite a bit left in the locker for me. I never thought he was in any danger after taking it up. I thought the second, Absolute Notions, ran a great race. In the second, Albert Bartlett all over it, that one really. Sander Clegane, I did hope would have been a little bit closer than he was. The two Mullins horses in this absolutely bombed out badly. Grange Clare West never went a yard really, and Quai de Paris was never in it either. A really poor run from both of them. The Arkle trial was eagerly anticipated. I thought Appreciate It may win this race, but he was never at the races really. He never looked like he was going to win. I was slightly disappointed with his display, and I can't explain how he struggled to go the pace and never looked like he was going to pick them up. I didn't fancy Dysart Dynamo, so I wasn't really surprised by his performance, but I was surprised by El Fabiolo, who made a couple of mistakes just like his debut, but won this really nicely and sets up a huge clash with Jonbon. El Fabiolo looks a right stare at the 2 miles, and it's going to be very interesting to see him against Jonbon. Jonbon may jump better than him. It's whether Jonbon can get a lead big enough to hold off El Fabiolo. Bambridge is a horse coming second who it's hard to know where this horse is going to go. It's hard to see him beating El Fabiolo in a rematch, but the way Mighty Potter won later in the week, it's very, very difficult to see him beating that horse. And that really is a conundrum for their connections because I don't see him beating either El Fabiolo or Mighty Potter. Lossiemouth's defeat, I have to say I've been waxing lyrical about this horse in her first 2 runs. Really disappointed with her yesterday, and I know Townend made big errors during this race in getting her really far back from where she should have been, in behind a horse who should not have been in. Sort of, when you get behind a horse like that, you're asking for trouble, and he got the trouble. The funny thing is, I was disappointed with Lossiemouth anyway. I didn't think she jumped that great. I mean, others may disagree, and you can let me know that, but I was disappointed with her jumping. I was disappointed that she couldn't pick Gala Marceau up because Gala Marceau had pulled so hard during the race. I have to say that I said I backed Lossiemouth after at 4-1 after she won her first race, and I've laid my stake back. I've taken my stake back at 7-4 and 15-8. I'm not absolutely convinced about this horse anymore. I was really disappointed that she got so far back that she couldn't pick them up. I thought this was a bit of a penalty kick for her. I have to say, I was just disappointed in general. And I'm going to be very controversial now as well because I wasn't massively impressed with Galopin de Champs either. I was surprised the big dog could still be in there. I was surprised at how he needed to be really shaken up. coming towards the last. And although he's found a lot for pressure, and people will say he really went through the line and took a long time to pull up, sorry. I think if it's a slowly run race, like this was, what's to stop a horse like a Plutard finishing as good as he did last year in the Gold Cup? At the prices, I can't be with Galopin de Champs at that sort of price. I know he's the most likely winner of the Gold Cup, but I was slightly disappointed with this display, I have to say. Now, to put into context, when I did my charity bets out the £100 for the Understarters Orders podcast, I was trying to make a profit with any bet I put off. And one of my bets in there was £40 on Galopin de Champs at 13-8. So I really did feel he was going to win the Gold Cup. I just don't feel quite like that anymore. And I have to say it the way I think. So I was a little disappointed with Galopin de Champs. I have to say that I was a little bit disappointed with Galopin de Champs' performance. Whether I'm right or not, you can let me know, but I just wasn't fully bowled over by the win. Now, there'll be others who say he's absolutely stormed through the line. How can you say that? He's jumped okay. He stormed through the line. He's obviously going to win the Gold Cup. And of course, there will be lots of people with that view. Just for me, I wasn't totally taken with it. Thought Statler looked a boat. He'll stay on when lots of others in the Gold Cup have had enough. If it's really strongly run and he can stay up with the pace, he could have a chance. But he's quite short now for what he's achieved. But there was a few horses in that race who managed to stay in it for too long for my liking. And I was just slightly disappointed with Galopin de Champs. Not with Galopin de Champs, just the manner of the win and the way he did it. I was really impressed with Percival Le Gaulois. This is a player for Temps. And I don't like that because I've backed Captain Morgs. I'm hoping that Percival Le Gaulois will take a big hike in the weights. And I think he should, because if you look at the improvement from this and from his debut, it's chalk and cheese. And there are yards that do this. I'm sure Cromwell wasn't in good form when he made his debut this season, but for me, this horse shouldn't be off 126, and I would like to see the horse get at least £8 to £10 off the Irish handicapper, because he's absolutely bolted in here. And then if the British tax can go on and we get up to a stone upwards on the horse, then I still feel Captain Morgs will have a good chance. But I do feel that this horse deserves that sort of hike because he's won this pulling a card. The bumper was the only bet of the day for me. I don't put my personal bets up on videos, but I had quite a decent bet on Fact to File. I thought he would improve from his debut. He duly did, but he still found one too good in A Dream to Share, who's won really nicely. And this is a good horse. I think this is a very good horse because both of them pulled well clear, but A Dream to Share still won quite readily for me. You couldn't put anyone off Fact to File, perhaps for the champion bumper at a decent price in a really strongly run race at Cheltenham. But A Dream to Share's really tucked him away quite nicely, and I think is a good horse going forward. This was a good performance from A Dream to Share, and one that you can't fault. You can't fault this horse. He's a real player going to Cheltenham and from a smaller yard. And I do like to see the smaller yards do well. And it isn't bad for the game when Willie Mullins' horses are beaten, because the stranglehold he has on the game at the moment isn't good for racing in my view. So a good win for A Dream to Share, and a big player at Cheltenham, I think, for John Kiley. Two performances to talk about at Sandown. Firstly, Chasing Fire, who won the 2 mile hurdle. This is a horse who I mentioned before. It was another nice win for Ollie Murphy's horse. And this horse is now looking like a supreme candidate. Still a big price, even after Facile Vega's win, still a big price. But this horse is winning really nicely and really moves well in its races. If there's to be a big shock, I'm sure a lot of people think it'll come from Rare Edition if it's an English horse, but I have this feeling it could be Chasing Fire. I thought his performance again was good at Sandown. He won really nicely. He came there absolutely cantering, found plenty up the hill, and I don't think he's a forlorn hope for the Supreme Novices. The other performance of note at Sandown was Jerry Colombe's win over probably a distance well short of his best. He won the Scilly Isles. Showed a great attitude again to get up. Does he really need soft ground? I think he's a rightful favourite for the Brown Advisory. I do worry that he hasn't run left-handed yet. I also worry about they've only run him on softish ground, and if the ground did come up a little bit quick, how he'd react to that. But both these performances at Sandown were worthy of note. I liked both performances. Jerry Colombe for the Brown Advisory, now the favourite. I'm not saying I'd back him at the price he is, but he's the rightful favourite. And Chasing Fire, an outsider for the Supreme Novices. Another nice victory from this horse. Day 2 of the Dublin Racing Festival, and after my views on day 1, I probably expect quite a lot of comments, but day 2 has produced another few shocks, but certainly not in the novice chase, where Mighty Potter's absolutely bolted in, and I wasn't that impressed with him in the Drinmore. I thought he was a bit fortunate to get away with a couple of mistakes in the Drinmore, but in this race he was pretty flawless, to be honest. I thought his performance was very good, and a few horses underperformed here. James de Burley wasn't very good. I thought Gallard de Menil got found out a little bit here as well. Adamantly chosen, finishing second, but you couldn't help but be impressed with Mighty Potter. And I have been lukewarm on this horse in the past, but he really won well today. I was really impressed with him, and he's a rightful 6-4 for the Turners, and it's hard to see anything laying a glove on him, to be honest. This was a really, really nice performance and hard to fault. Then we had the Dublin Chase, and Blue Lord's blotted his copybook. Either that or Gentleman de Me is a really good horse and has been hiding his form this season. Another McManus horse who's come back to form with a vengeance. After 2 really poor performances this season, he's absolutely thrashed Blue Lord here, and I don't think there was many excuses for Blue Lord. I think a lot of people who are on Blue Lord for the Ryanair will be pleased to see this result. It does blow the Champion Chase wide open, with Energumen being beaten last week. Edward Stone not quite seeing it out. Gentleman de Me obviously has form from entry, and a big race to look forward to now in the Champion Chase, because a few horses are coming into this market, and it could be a far more open Champion Chase than most people would expect. I think many people over the weekend hoped Honeysuckle would win, but thought that State Man would win. It played out exactly like everyone thought. Honeysuckle ran her heart out, but was beaten by the better horse in State Man. And State Man, well, he looks like he's got a good chance in the Champion Hurdle. I know that Constitution Hill has looked like an unbeatable horse, but this State Man just keeps improving. A 4.5 length win, and quite snugly at the line, I think, as well. Probably Constitution Hill should be the favourite. Whether he should be quite as short as the 1-3, 1-4 sort of quotes is up for debate. State Man's won this really nicely. The interviews about Honeysuckle really worry me that they're going to go to the Mayor's Hurdle. I've said before, I think it's obscene not to go as the reigning champion for the Champion Hurdle. Chasing a win in a race like the Mayor's Hurdle, which she may well get. And of course it would bring the house down at Cheltenham should she win a Mayor's Hurdle, but you really go out on a big low if she doesn't manage to win. There are up-and-coming horses in that race, like Love Envoy, Marie's Rock, and her old adversary, Epatante. Now, there's no guarantee that she stays better than Epatante. She's only beaten Epatante over 2 miles. She showed, she said, when she beat Benny Deju, but she's not that horse anymore. Love Envoy's a definite stayer over 2 miles 4. Marie's Rock's a definite stayer over 2 miles 4. And after being beaten in the Harton's Grace, it would be a worry if she went to the Mayor's Hurdle. I feel that she should go champion or not at all. We'll wait and see. Obviously, she's had the most fantastic career. I was a little disappointed, I have to say, to see her being beaten, but the writing was on the wall. She just wasn't able to lie up as close to State Man at the third last and second last as she needed to be to mount a challenge. Then she's nearly knocked Rachel off, and that was the end of the race, really. State Man's won really well. I liked his performance. I do wonder if he might be able to just about put it up to Constitution Hill, but that's for another day. State Man, a good winner, and I never really thought Vauban would win this race. He's got close to Honeysuckle, but she's fought him off for second. But I'm not the biggest fan of Vauban, and I don't see this real big hype about him. I didn't think he'd close the gap. Some people did, but I never believed he'd get closer to State Man, and he hasn't really got anywhere near beating State Man again. Then we had the big shock with Facile Vega beaten. And it's hard to understand this defeat because he's been absolutely trounced. He's finished last, and there has to be something a little bit wrong with the horse. Did he go too fast trying to match it with high definition? It's hard to say. But considering he's thrashed ill at the Tom last time out, something wasn't right about this running. But it throws the Supreme completely in the air. It looks like Barry Connell could have a double in the Ballymore and the Supreme with Marine Nationale and Good Land. It's not entirely out of the question that could happen. Who would have thought that at the start of the season with horses like American Mike and Facile Vega in the mix? It's really, really difficult to foresee what's going to happen in a season. All season, people have thought that Facile Vega was an almost banker for the first race, that John Bond was really short, and now all of a sudden Facile Vega's been beaten. John Bond's got a big rival in El Fabiolo, and everything is now up for grabs again. There are very few short price favourites apart from Constitution Hill now. Energumene last week was odds on, and now the Champion Chase looks up for grabs. So it's going to be an exciting Cheltenham. It's time to try and find bets. We haven't found any yet, but lots of horses are coming in to the picture. You look at the Pertemps. I was quite keen on Captain Morgs, but that win by Percival Legalwa really impressed me. I'm wanting that horse to get a big hike in the weights because I fear him. But then again, the Boss's Oscar's just qualified. Now, he's a horse who flew up the hill in a Martin Pipe 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago. So it's Cheltenham is really boiling up now into a lot of horses who everyone thought would be bankers are now not bankers anymore. Who would have thought you'd have been looking at a Champion Chase the way you do, the Champion Hurdle, the Mayor's Hurdle, the way we are at the moment? Lots to ponder, lots to look forward to, but a great weekend at Leopardstown and plenty for us to mull over the week ahead. So thanks for watching my video. I can only give you my view. I really do feel a little disappointed in the performance of Lossiemouth after her first 2 wins. I wasn't as impressed as others with Galopin des Champs. I was really disappointed that Honeysuckle couldn't win, even though I didn't think she would. I hoped she would. And Facile Vega's defeat has just shocked me to the core, to be honest. Big wins for smaller yards with a dream to share. And what a dream they have now of possibly winning the champion bumper. It's been a great week. Thanks for watching my video. Have a great week. Bye for now.